What's going on, everyone? Happy Sunday to everyone. Hopefully everyone is doing well, staying safe, having a great weekend so far. If you had to take a COVID test this weekend, hopefully you have tested negative. If you did test positive, I hope you have a full and speedy recovery with no long COVID issues. It is time now for the Sunday edition of the Pandemic Update for Sunday, June 2nd, 2024. If you're new to my channel, this is where we do the daily pandemic update on all things COVID, any other viruses that are out there, and of course climate change as well, because all this can impact your life and impact your health. On Sundays, we usually take a look at wastewater. We're going to do that today. It's going to be in a shortened version because we do have a lot of news to get to yet again today, and some of our daily data to take a look at as well. But we will get to at least 8 to 10 minutes of wastewater today. So if you're new, subscribe down below, give this video a thumbs up, share this video with anyone you know, leave your comments down below, and remember, hit that notification bell and you will be notified when I do a new video. Alrighty, our first news story today comes out of Germany. Germany's sickness rates remain at a very high level. Get this, from January to the end of March, 38% of employees were absent with a sick note at least once. Germany slipped into recession in 2023 because so many employees called in sick. So still, 38% of employees were absent sick over in Germany. Yes, we're into 2024 with this pandemic, and it is still happening. You know, long COVID's a thing. Immune systems getting destroyed or disrupted by COVID, that's a thing. There's a lot of other viruses out there. There's a lot of different reasons people still have to call out sick, and of course, people still testing positive for COVID itself. That is still a thing. Moving on to our next story. Over in the Philippines, at least two ranking officials of the Department of Agriculture, DA, that's what they call Department of Agriculture over there, have tested positive for COVID-19 amid a surge in cases and the threat of new flirt variants. You know, flirt variants, they're out there. There's also other variants out there that are trying to compete with the flirt variants. I mean, there's a lot of different COVID variants at this day and age. Arizona resident with measles traveled through Seattle airport in May, public health officials say. Want to read this full story? I tweeted it out, and I will get it to the website at some point. I got a lot of things to get to the website. I actually have a browser just full of tabs of stuff that needs to be archived on the website for you to go and search and read about. Alright, you ever hear of singer Linda Ronstadt? Yes, how about this? She apparently had a bout with COVID and actually lost her ability to speak. Yes, this is not good, and it actually gets even worse. It says here, though Ronstadt has regained her speech, she said her hearing loss may be permanent. So yes, this is not good whatsoever. I will try and do some more research to see just when she tested positive, and of course I am going to be archiving this into the COVID positive archive of my website. My website is datareport.info, where we do archive all kinds of different things, including, you know, celebrity or famous people or political people, anyone who's well known. We do document their positive cases of COVID if and when we hear about it. So yes, again, this is relatively interesting to hear that she did have COVID. I don't think we already have it. I don't know when the date was, but sad to hear that she may not regain her hearing. Wow, that's not a good thing at all. Alright, wanted to go back and show you UK again. We talked about the UK yesterday. We talked about how their cases dropped somewhat, but I wanted to show you something else with the UK. And let's click on this COVID-19 page. I wanted to show you a chart here. Here's cases, and you can see here, cases did drop some. But now I wanted to show you this. Take a look at the rise in deaths that they saw, and this is data including May 17th, 2024. Take a look at that. That's a pretty significant rise for deaths. I can hope for that it's just a backlog, and maybe they were behind, and that resulted in a higher number. We'll have to see next week. Hopefully when next week's update comes in, we see this number much, much lower. I'm expecting that we will, but only time will tell. We can see what happened through April going into May. They did have a significant rise for hospitalizations, which, I mean, again, it didn't go over 2,000, but it was an increase, let's put it to you that way. And it represents that probably testing and cases were probably higher than what we actually knew about. And that's a problem in every country around the world. You see the cases right here. Right here's the cases, and chances are the cases were probably significantly higher than that. And yes, they are dropping now. Again, we'll have to see what happens again next week. And finally, I wanted to show you this. Jay Wyland did do an update here to show how his model is performing so far with what's happening with COVID right now. You can see the flood variance in the orange line, wastewater calibration in the red line, and the forecast model in the green. And so far, his model is pretty much spot on. It's not a wave, but he's calling it a ripple so far. We've been calling it a bump in the road, and so far it is behaving just like that. Now what we need to see happen is just what will happen going forward. So it's showing here an ever so slight rise. What we do not see listed here is what would happen at the end of the month or as we head over into July. There's another model in July that's saying, hey, we may start going up even further in July. So we'll have to see. A lot of uncertainty going forward, and we cannot say what it's going to do in either direction. We'll just have to sit back and watch it unfold for the time being. Taking a look at the allergy map for today, 43% of the country is in medium status, and you can see there is some orange and some red in the Northeast. The Northeast is definitely probably the worst region at this point, and there is some orange sprinkled throughout the rest of the country as well, with the Southeast probably doing the best. A lot of green there, which means pollen levels. They are low in the Southeast. Taking a look now what is going on with air quality values around the United States, and we can see here Texas, you're starting to see increased levels of orange again. We're starting to see a lot of yellow pop up. Good majority of the eastern United States is starting to enter the yellow. Even up into the Northeast, yellows are starting to become more common. There's even a few isolated areas of orange. Southern California, you're in the orange again, but Northern California, you're actually doing really well. Pacific Northwest is also doing really well. Look at this. Very good air qualities for you today. Heat-related illnesses. We expect this map to continue to fill in. It's already starting to do so. In some places, we'll get an update on that this week. The Southwest U.S. is about to get hotter. Temperatures and the heat index could go over 100 degrees. Severe weather threats for today. Got to keep you safe from that as well. If you live in Kansas and Nebraska today, there's an enhanced threat of severe weather. Tornado threats only 5%, but that's all it takes for there to be. I mean, you don't even need to have a risk, and there can be a tornado, and even in some cases, a strong tornado. There was potentially a strong tornado yesterday. I'm waiting to see what the storm survey says. Some areas did have to go under a tornado emergency. I believe it was in Texas yesterday. Wind threat is higher, 30%, and hail threat is higher at 30% as well. Want to learn more about climate? I got another place where I do that. Search on X for climate data report, and chances are you will find my climate place where I post about that on Twitter. All right, wanted to show you Philadelphia EMS calls like we normally do. Yep, still has not come in yet. Sometimes on Sunday it doesn't come in till the middle of the afternoon. I've already seen Sundays where sometimes it just does not update. So we'll have to see what happens. All right, I now have to show you this, a live looking at what's going on in Montgomery County, and there have been a lot of respiratory emergency calls this morning. Relatively concerning. Right now, there's not one, not two, not three, 4 respiratory emergency calls. It was 5 just before we started recording. Cardiac emergency is also ongoing. Taking a look at what's going on in Chester County, Pennsylvania. Wow, we have sick person, fall. Unconscious person, falls, stroke, respiratory difficulty, cardiac arrest in Honeybrook Township. That's not good. Heart problems, sick person, unconscious person, EMS standby, and another. Wow, that's really busy for a Sunday in Chester County. I was listening to Philadelphia's North Medic Band earlier, and I was hearing quite a few calls in the North Medic Band. In case you're wondering what that is, in Philadelphia, North Medic Band is Lehigh Avenue on northward. So if I have anyone else from Philadelphia, it's Lehigh Avenue on northward. Northwest Philadelphia and Northeast Philadelphia would be included in those sections. Walgreens this week, the positivity rate is 18.6%. That was up 1.1%. That will update again tomorrow. All right, let's get over to wastewater now. We do have to take a look at our wastewater sites, and we do see here, there's colors on the map. If you're new here, the gray sites, those are sites that haven't updated. White sites are new sites. The dark blue is 0 to 19% COVID detected. This is only for COVID on this map here, on this page. The slightly the lighter shade of blue, 20 to 39% COVID detected. There are 470 sites, and I forgot to mention the dark blue. That's 519 sites. Unfortunately, that number continues to drop. We don't like to see that number drop. Why, you might ask? That's because the number of sites with low levels of COVID is dropping, and one of these higher colors is starting to rise. But you go to the next shade, and that's dropping as well. 470 of those medium shade blue colors. That's down by 9%. Where we are seeing an increase is the really light shade of blue, which is moderate COVID, 40 to 59%, 187 sites. That's up by 3%. The number of orange sites is at 60 to 79%. That's now up to 49. That's up by 58%. And the number of red sites is at 80 to 100%. That is 8 sites. It says up by 60, but I don't know how true that is. I think we were at least 6 or 8 sites last week. You know what? That could be correct. And taking a look here, right off the bat, you see something that sticks out. Hawaii has been seeing increasing COVID levels. Take a look at Honolulu. Wow. Look at this chart here. It is literally going straight upward. Is Hawaii maybe the new New York? You know, New York used to be the first area that would blow up or really rapidly rise for a variant prior to the rest of the United States. Well, Hawaii has been going off on and doing something of its own. And there's many different reasons. Hawaii is a huge tourism state. People from not just the United States, but all around the world come to visit Hawaii. And in this case, Hawaii is seeing a faster rise than everywhere else in the United States. I mean, it's not out of the question that at some point this was going to happen just because of all the tourism that they see. You know, people go there on their honeymoons, wedding anniversaries, vacations in general. There's a lot of people that travel to and from Hawaii, so there's always the risk of new variants or various different viruses and diseases spreading there. And in this case, COVID is just rapidly spreading in Hawaii. Taking a look around the rest of the country, we do see here, if we zoom this map in, I'm seeing some red now in California. I believe this is like just north of the Bay Area. And yes, take a look at this treatment plant. It was rising and now it's dropping. And let's see, do we have any other red sites? I know there's some other red sites. I'm just not seeing them. We do see one here in Niagara, New York. This has been red for a couple weeks now, and it is still rising ever so slightly. Now, there are other ways that we can take a look at wastewater as well. We can also take all the wastewater sites from a state and average them up. Well, the CDC does do that. And in this case, Wyoming, while there's only 2 sites reporting, they do come in with high levels of COVID. And then Hawaii with all 7 sites report very high levels, and that would make sense. You just saw one wastewater site there that was rapidly rising still. And hopefully with a rise that fast, that means maybe they're going to peak soon and then drop. Oftentimes we see that, but who knows? We'll have to see how much longer that goes on. Florida is coming in with high levels of COVID this week. We now have moderate levels in Arkansas, high levels in New Mexico, high levels in Utah, high levels in Nevada. Montana's even coming in with moderate levels once again. Low in Alaska. California as a whole is now moderate. Washington, what's this? Moderate as well. We are now seeing moderate levels in Minnesota, moderate levels in Missouri. Again, Arkansas is moderate. Nothing out of Oregon. If I had to guess, you're probably on the higher end of low, or maybe moderate at this point. And we can see here what is going on in Maryland. Maryland is also starting to see moderate levels, and the majority of the Northeast is still low, and New York State is even still in the minimal level. And them being in the minimal level still makes me think that perhaps that really high report on Friday was a backlog, which maybe included some cases that should have been reported on Thursday. If you recall, Thursday was a really low level, and then Friday they reported a high number of cases. Now moving on to wastewater scan, where we need to go region by region. Looks like there was yet another update for wastewater scan. So taking a look here nationwide. COVID continues to be high and rising at this time. RSV is low, influenza A is low, influenza B is low at this time, HMPV is dropping. Norovirus is still coming up listed as high, but is dropping at this time. And now moving on to the Midwest region, where COVID really has not been rising yet, and that still is the case. Yes, most recent update, ever so slight rise, but that's just one update. Overall trend is still lower. RSV, influenza A, influenza B, all not an issue. HMPV is dropping, and norovirus is dropping as well. Now taking a look at the Northeast region, where COVID has been kind of bouncing but the overall trajectory has been higher. And right now, once again, it is starting to go higher again. RSV is relatively low at this time. Influenza A is low at this time. Influenza B, not much of an issue. HMPV is rising slightly, and norovirus is dropping at this time, going down to the southern region of the United States. And we do see COVID is rising, and in fact, it's starting to pick up the pace a little bit faster now. Kind of expected for the summertime in the South. They typically do see their summertime wave. Of course, the whole United States has seen a summertime wave the past few years, but right now the South is starting to pick up the pace, and RSV is low at this time. Influenza A is low. The most recent update does show a brief rise. Influenza B is low at this time. HMPV dropping. Norovirus is rising at this time. Now taking a look at the West Coast region, which is our final region, and the West Coast for COVID at this time is high, and it continues to be our fastest rising region in the United States, particularly the Southwest U.S. RSV is low. Influenza A was dropping. Most recent update or two is showing a rise again. Influenza B is seeing a slight rise. HMPV dropping at this time. Yeah, it shows a slight rise. I'm not too concerned about it at this point. And norovirus was rising. Now it has leveled off, and hopefully it will start dropping once again soon. All right, let's take a look at a few individual wastewater sites now. And I suggest that we should look at Los Angeles, because Los Angeles is not following the trend of the West Coast. In fact, Los Angeles, here's one of their wastewater sites with 3.5 million population, which does show it dropping at this time. RSV is low at this time. Influenza A is low. Influenza B is low. HMPV is dropping. Norovirus is seeing a slight rise at this time. No detections of Mpox. And wow, lots of detections of hepatitis A at this time. Let's do one more site on the West Coast. Let's go up to Las Vegas and see what's going on there. That's a tourism area. Take a look at this. Las Vegas is seeing a rise. It's kind of an up, down thing, but overall trajectory for COVID has been rising higher. RSV is low at this time. Influenza A is starting to see a rise. Influenza B is starting to see a rise. HMPV is flat at this time. Norovirus is dropping, but it's still relatively high. No detections of Mpox, and there have been some detections of hepatitis A. All right, let's go to another region in the United States. Let's go up here to just northwest of Houston. I believe this is called the Woodlands. Yes, that's what they call this wastewater site. And COVID, it's listed as high here, but you can see here, most recent update, after a rise, does show that maybe it is dropping some once again. RSV at this time is flat. Influenza A is low at this time. Influenza B, no issues. HMPV, no issues. Norovirus is seeing a significant drop now. Mpox, no issues. And hepatitis A has seen some detections. Let's go down to the southeast now, and let's go down to Miami. We'll just do one site here, then we'll go up to the northeast and call it a day. Taking a look here at what's going on in Miami, this is 829,725 population, and we can see here that levels here, they're rising. This is not good to see for COVID. RSV, Influenza A, Influenza B, HMPV, all no issues. Norovirus, it is in the medium to high levels at this time, though looks to be dropping on the most recent update. Mpox, no detections, and a few detections of hepatitis A. All right, let's make our way further north. If we did not get to your state, which, trust me, we did not get to the majority of the states today, we had news to report on. We will show more wastewater sites throughout the week. Let's take a look at what's going on in Montpelier, Vermont. That is the capital of Vermont. And we can see here for COVID, though dropping on the most recent update, the overall trajectory over time has been gradually higher. RSV, no issues at this time. Influenza A, no issues. Influenza B, no issues. HMPV, no issues. However, norovirus is rising, and I would say this is probably high. It's back into the high status. No Mpox detected, and hepatitis A. There have been some detections of that. Alrighty, folks, that does it for this week's edition of the Wastewater Update. More importantly, the Sunday Pandemic Update. I know we didn't do as many wastewater sites as usual, but again, here we are, almost at 20 minutes. We had some news that we had to talk about. We will do more wastewater sites during the week. I promise we'll also probably take a look at Chicago as well. So if you're new to the site, and you like this, give it a thumbs up, subscribe down below. Remember, my website is datareport.info. Leave a comment down below, share this with anyone you know, hit that notification bell. I will see you all again tomorrow. Until I see you again tomorrow, stay safe, everyone, and have a fantastic Sunday afternoon, and have a great week ahead. Thanks for watching.